Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the regular council meeting, Monday, January 12th, 2026, and the time is 5 p.m. Happy New Year to everybody. First of all, we would like to respectfully acknowledge that the land on which we gather is the unceded ancestral territory of the Silks Okanagan peoples and the Splatsin of the Secwepemc Nation. Next, to move that the January 12th, 2026 regular council meeting agenda be adopted as circulated. Do we have a mover? Councillor Weiner, thank you. Seconder, Councillor Valstar. All those in favor? Carried. And that the December 8th, 2025 regular council meeting minutes be adopted as circulated. Do we have a mover? Councillor Drapla and second Councillor Todd. All those in favor? And that too shall be carried. And we will welcome this evening the Royal Canadian Legion to do a presentation. Mr. Sean Cody, if you'd like to come up to the mic, sir. And welcome.
Mayor Kramer, I'm already nervous. Yeah. Mayor Kramer, city councilors and guests. The subject of this little talk is the honorary name of Pleasant Valley Boulevard to Veterans Way, creation of a Veterans Commemorative Crosswalk in the Veterans Banner Program. Little history. The Canadian Legion has a long history of proudly supporting veterans. When the First World War came to an end, numerous veterans groups and regimental associations representing former service members were created. Despite their shared goals, efforts were fragmented and unsuccessful. An appeal for unity led to the formation of the Dominion Veterans Alliance, and in Winnipeg in 1925, the Legion was founded as the Canadian Legion of the British Empire Service League. It was incorporated by a special act of Parliament, and the charter was issued in July 1926. On December 19th, 1960, Queen Elizabeth II gave her consent to use the prefix Royal, and the organization became known as the Royal Canadian Legion. The Act of Incorporation was later amended in 1961 to make the change official. The Legion's initial main objective was to provide a strong voice for the First World War veterans. However, the advent of the Second World War created a host of new demands. The Legion expanded to offer more dedicated support to veterans, as well as those serving abroad. Today, the role of the Legion is to support Canadian veterans in RCMP and their families, to promote remembrance of their sacrifice, serve local communities through advocacy, essential services, and fundraising, ensuring that those that served are never forgotten and their communities remain strong. Since Canada's creation as a sovereign nation on July 1st, 1867, the Canadian military has been involved in many conflicts around the world, including peacekeeping. Our military went to war to protect the rights and freedoms we continue to enjoy today, including World War I and II, Korean War, and the Afghanistan War. Canada's military service has been primarily voluntary, except during the two world wars, where the conscripts were mostly for home defense, but some were sent overseas near the end of the Second War. There is a total of 118,000 soldiers killed in the service of Canada, mentioned in the Book of Remembrance in Ottawa, with hundreds of thousands injured across all conflicts, including those with psychological wounds. Nationally, Canada lost about 1% of its total population in World War I, roughly 61,000 deaths from 8 million people, and about 0.4% in World War II, 42,000 deaths from 11.5 million. While specific per capita percentages for Armstrong are not always documented as a single figure, neighboring Okanagan towns proved context. For example, in nearby Kelowna, 12% of the entire male population was killed in World War I. Because these losses were almost exclusively among men aged 18 to 45, the impact was devastating. Prior to World War I, the population of Armstrong was very small, with the 1921 census recording 983 people. Local losses were nearly 3 to 4 times higher than the national average, with Armstrong Spall machines suffering 61 deaths. During World War II, the community of Armstrong, which was 977 people in 1941, along with the surrounding district of Spall machines, suffered 39 deaths. Based on the combined estimated population of roughly 2,500 to 3,000 at the time, this represented about 1.5% of the total population, which is higher than the national average of 0.4. The scale of loss in the Okanagan was considered staggering due to the small size of the population. In some BC towns, more than 1 in every 10 men in that age range was killed or maimed during World War I. These members of the military, dating back to 1867, were not just a special group, but are the backbone of our nation. They fight for the peace and freedoms every day, whether it is during a conflict, peacekeeping, Cold War, or national emergencies. They have done this on behalf of Canada for more than 100 years and continue to risk their safety and security every day. They are part of the Canadian fabric, which cannot be looked at separately from Canada itself, as they are intertwined with the history and the building of this nation. They helped in the forging of our national identity, our economic development, and our sovereignty, and deserve our respect every day. Armstrong and Spall Machine have a wall of honor at Memorial Park, which lists our own soldiers who never made it home from either World War. There is a total of 100 fellow sons, husbands, brothers, and or uncles listed on the wall, with many more returning injured in some way. Presently, there are 63,500 regular force soldiers, 23,000 reserve soldiers, and 5,000 Canadian Rangers within the Canadian Armed Forces, with Armstrong Spall Machine Legion having close to 100 veterans and their families that continue to be active in the community. The Royal Canadian Legion will be celebrating its 100th anniversary in the summer-fall of 2026, which is also the 100th anniversary of our Armstrong branch of the Royal Canadian Legion. Over the 100 years, the Armstrong Legion has moved locations a few times, but continued to support and advocate for our veterans and our community. The Royal Canadian Legion Branch 35 has over 500 members who contribute to the community through volunteering or donating to a number of events, including but not limited to the local food bank, Meals for Wheels, Halloween night, Harvest Festival, Light Up, Remembrance Day, which incorporates education at the local schools ceremonies, retirement homes for those who can't make it to the event itself, high school bursary programs, Vimy Ridge ceremony, and the Christmas angel tree, and the candlelight vigil. Our goal. The purpose of this presentation is two-part, with one being to ask the City of Armstrong to establish a Veterans Commemorative Crosswalk and the honorary name of Veterans Way, with the location being at one of two options, with option one being the original plan. Excuse me. Option one, part one, having the Veterans Commemorative Crosswalk at the same location as the current crosswalk between the Legion parking lot and the train station on Pleasant Valley Boulevard. By having a Veterans Commemorative Crosswalk at this location, it emphasizes the safety and accessibility of pedestrians crossing from the Legion and businesses to the public meeting space in the train station between the two Pleasant Valley roads, while honoring our veterans. This crosswalk can encourage increased foot traffic, fostering community events and participation. Part two. The second part is to ask the City of Armstrong to give the westbound lane of Pleasant Valley Boulevard between Mill Street and Okanagan Street the honorary name of Veterans Way. Although it is only honorary, by placing a street name sign of Veterans Way at both ends of the portion of Pleasant Valley Boulevard, it honors all the Armstrong Spall Machine soldiers, sailors, airmen and airwomen who have died for our country, as well as all those veterans who have served. It also ties in the veterans' banners as they hang from the posts along this stretch of the road. Option two, part one. Having the Veterans Commemorative Crosswalk at the same location as the current crosswalk across from the entrance to Memorial Park on Pleasant Valley Boulevard. By having a Veterans Commemorative Crosswalk at this location, it ties the Memorial Park, a location to remember and honor our fallen heroes from both wars, to the crosswalk, which is also a symbol of remembrance to our fallen soldiers and veterans. Part two. The second part of this option is to ask the City of Armstrong to give Pleasant Valley Boulevard the honorary name of Veterans Way between Park Drive and the driveway at 3265 Pleasant Valley Boulevard. Although it is a small portion of the road, it encompasses the full frontage of Memorial Park and ties in the Memorial Park and the crosswalk as a memorial tribute to the remembrance to those who fought for Canada. As a part of option 2, we would ask that the banners presently being displayed on Pleasant Valley Boulevard near the Legion to be moved to Memorial Park. We feel that by having them in front of the park on the grass side of the sidewalk provides a visible year-round tribute to our local veterans and recognizes those members of the military beyond those listed on the cenotaph. It supports public education in intergenerational remembrance and many more events. It also strengthens community pride and reinforces Armstrong's identity as a community that steps forward in times of need. By boosting community pride, Armstrong continues to build its reputation as a place where people come together and take action whenever help is needed. The combination of the Veterans Banner, Veteran Commemorative Crosswalk, and the honorary name of Veterans Way would enhance Memorial Park as a focal point to civic remembrance. Presently, there are over 10 cities across BC and more being added annually that have successfully installed veteran commemorative crosswalks near community facilities, including Langley, Maple Ridge, Surrey, Peachland, Canal, Richmond, Osoyoos, Ladysmith, Kelowna, Nanaimo, and Burnaby, with a number of other cities in the process of implementing these crosswalks, including Powell River, Delta, West Kelowna, Langford, and Vernon. These crosswalks have shown an increase in foot traffic benefiting local businesses. My research. The Royal Canadian Legion BC Yukon Command Branch, as well as some specific branches within BC, were contacted concerning of any pushback or criticisms from other members of the community or groups in relation to the Veterans Commemorative Crosswalk. To date, they have not heard of any concerns or of any protests, including tire marks on the crosswalks. Although there have been a few acts of vandalism across Canada, those specific to the crosswalk only shows a couple of incidents, with most being in Alberta and Ontario. There are some rules to governance pertaining to the location of some crosswalks, but the location within Armstrong already falls within those rules as it currently exists on Pleasant Valley Boulevard. We are not moving its location, but asking for a specific type of crosswalk to honor all our veterans. The Veterans Commemorative Crosswalk would use the same type of paint that normal crosswalks use, although in different colors, red, white, and black. The wear and tear could degrade the crosswalk, as with other crosswalks, but being as this crosswalk is a work of art, it may require additional maintenance to keep these public art tributes in good condition. Costs. Although the portion of Pleasant Valley Boulevard will be under construction for the beginning of 2026, it would be completed in time for Remembrance Day. The cost for option 1 could be for the creation of the commemorative crosswalk, the signage for Veterans Way, and the use of several posts to hang banners on the section of road between Mill Street and Okanagan Street. At this time, it is not clear as to where and how many posts would be put back after the reconstruction, but that some could be used for the banners. It is estimated that the cost to implement option 1, in addition with the revitalization and reconstruction, would cost approximately $4,000 to $6,000 plus ongoing maintenance. In option 2, the commemorative crosswalk, honorary name of Veterans Way, and the banner posts could be all done up at the Memorial Park. Again, it is not clear how many posts would be erected along the front of the park, but that they would be specific for the banners. Similar to option 1, the cost would be approximately $4,000 to $6,000 plus maintenance, but does not include the cost of putting the posts in the ground, as it is unknown how many and type of posts could be used. We also understand that with option 2, it would not be completed in 2026 due to the revitalization construction slated for Armstrong this year. If option 2 is selected, we ask that a temporary use of the posts near the Legion be allowed to hang the veterans banners during our celebrations of the 100th anniversary of the Royal Canadian Legion. In either option, depending on the size and makeup of the street sign Veterans Way, it is unclear as to the full cost of these signs. Our recommendation, that council consider in conjunction with Township of Spalmachine The installation of veteran banners and posts in Memorial Park as outlined in option 2. The development of a permanent interpretive sign, Veterans Way, outlining the community's military history as outlined in option 2. Installation of the commemorative crosswalk at the entrance to Memorial Park, leading to the parking spaces across from the park on Pleasant Valley Boulevard, as outlined in option 2. Ongoing collaboration with the Legion and Museum archives to maintain accurate veteran records. And I've included two colorful maps with option 1 and option 2. I'm sorry they're not very professionally done, but I did it on my computer and I think it looks great. So that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sean. And appreciate your service and your continued dedicated service. Just ask council if anybody had any questions or wanted to ask anything of the Legion at this time. Not seeing anything? Thank you, and we'll take that under advisement.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Have a
you
good
very
night.
much. All right, up next, the presentation of reports, 5.1, the proposed 2026 project budget adjustments. Mr. Martins.
Thank you, Your Worship. Subsequent to the meeting where the budget was presented to council in December, there were a few situations that came up that require some changes to the projects, some of the projects that were in the budget. So these changes are being sought prior to the bylaw being adopted. So there are 4 that I'm going to be addressing here in order. The first one in relation to Pleasant Valley Boulevard North. This project was to be funded from a variety of funding sources, and it was originally budgeted in 2025 under the 2026 banner at $3.5 million. Staff is suggesting and recommending that this particular project receive by council resolution early approval, simply because the amount, the estimated amount has changed to 4.4 million as described during the budget meeting last month, but also because the RFP is out right now for responses, and it closes on January 30th. So that's the first recommendation. The second recommendation that's being made is again due for the Pleasant Valley Boulevard North. What's being suggested and recommended is a funding source mix adjustment. And this is due to the removal of the Okanagan Street Bridge project from 26 and 27, which was temporarily removed from the 5-year plan. And it was to be primarily funded from the gas tax reserve. So what has happened as a result of that is that there are currently no major uses of gas tax funding in the entire 5-year plan. With regard to gas tax reporting that staff has to do every year, any outstanding unused balance of gas tax at each year end must be at the very least committed to specific projects in the 5-year capital plan. So with the fact that there will be approximately $1 million of unused gas tax money in the reserve at the end of 2025, staff is recommending that the funding mix for 2026 be adjusted so that $1.2 million of gas tax funding be used with the reduced use of roads and drainage reserve funds. This way, when the Okanagan Street Bridge project returns, if it returns to the financial plan in the future, roads and drainage reserve funding would be the primary funding source. So essentially, it's swapping funding between the two projects. As a result, staff will be able to satisfy reporting requirements that there is a commitment to use the unused money from 2025. This doesn't affect the actual amount of the project, just the funding source mix. The third change was in regards to the Rosedale Intersections Design project for $75,000, which was to be funded from gas tax. After the meeting in December, staff recalled that there was a situation in the past few years where design for a project in 1 year and construction in another year was disallowed under the gas tax agreement. Staff reached out to UBCM, who administers the gas tax project, or program, I should say. In the meantime, staff is suggesting, or was suggesting, that this $75,000 be funded from the Roads and Drainage Reserve instead, now that funds have been freed up from the previous adjustment. However, just this last Friday, staff received a reply from UBCM that with the renegotiation of the new agreement in 2024, the eligibility was changed in that pre-designed for a project that is to be funded from gas tax can operate as a standalone project in 1 year with construction in another year. So the fear that, or not the fear, but the concern that staff had before is now eliminated. So item C can be removed. It is no longer needed. But I wanted to explain the history on that one for you. The final change is in regards to the plow truck, which is almost complete. This was a project that was approved by council in 2025, and it was started in 25. It is a multifaceted project for $320,000. The final phase of the work is approaching completion. We originally anticipated December delivery. This has now changed, where delivery is not until this month. So this makes the final phase of $162,000. It makes it a 2026 expenditure, which requires a budget amount in 2026 to do that. Staff is recommending that $162,000 of unused money that was earmarked for this project from 2025 be carried over in the 2026 budget. And those three changes revised are the changes that staff is suggesting. So for the record, I will read out the recommendation that the following 2026 project-related adjustments in the proposed 2026-2030 5-year financial plan be approved by council. The first one would be Pleasant Valley Boulevard North project for a total cost of $4,400,000 be granted early approval. And that the funding sources for the Pleasant Valley Boulevard North project be changed from $2,670,000 from the Growing Communities Reserve and $1,730,000 from the Roads and Drainage Reserve be changed to $2,670,000 from the Growing Communities Reserve, $1.2 million from the Gas Tax Reserve, and $530,000 from the Roads and Drainage Reserve. And finally, that the completion of the 2025 plow truck replacement project for $162,000 funded from the Public Works Equipment Reserve be carried over and included in the 2026 project budget due to delayed delivery. Thank you.
Thank you, Terry. There have a recommendation. Do we have a motion to accept the recommendation? Thank you, Councillor Todd, and a seconder, Councillor Velstar, and I'll open the floor for discussion. Councillor Felder.
Are we sure we need a new snowplow and we don't get much use out of it?
Seeing as nobody, oh, it's Councillor Dropper.
Sorry, are we including letter C on those recommendations? No, okay. Got it.
Anything further? Councillor Nietzsche, all good? All right, then I will call the vote. All those in favor? And that will be carried unanimously. Next, under 6.1 bylaws, the water reservoir transmission line loan authorization bylaw number 1946, 2025. That the water reservoir transmission line loan authorization bylaw number 1946, 2025 be given first, second, and third readings by title only. Do we have a mover? Thank you, Councillor Weiner, and a seconder, Councillor Valstar, and I will open the floor for discussion. Not seeing any. All those, oh, Councillor Feller.
Well, just, I mean, this is a big expenditure and we're all agreed to do it and all that kind of stuff, but question, is there any, and this isn't the right time to ask it, but this is the only time at the moment. And so this is the twinning of the lines coming back and forth, correct? Is there any vision to have agricultural water line at some point?
Thank you, Worship. There's no plans as part of this project to provide agricultural water because it's all treated. We don't have a system that I'm aware of that would allow us to provide raw untreated water for agricultural purposes. Providing agricultural water with treated water is the same problem that Greater Vernon Water has, where it creates all kinds of problems from a funding and financing perspective. So the short answer is no, not with this project.
It just seems so strange that we have to treat water for agricultural purposes. It just, I don't get it. I mean, we can use treated effluent, but we can't use untreated water. It just, anyway, I just had to ask.
Well, we did need some discussion on this, so I'm glad you did. Any further questions? No, then I will call the vote. All those in favor? And this too shall be carried unanimously. And next up is item 6.2, the rates, fees, and charges establishment bylaw number 1916-2023, the amendment bylaw number 1947, that the City of Armstrong rates, fees, and charges establishment bylaw number 1916-2023, amendment bylaw number 1947-2026 be given first three readings by title only. And mover, Councillor Bellistar, thank you. Second by Councillor Wayner. Is there any discussion on that? And seeing none, then I will call the vote. All those in favor? And this too shall be carried unanimously. Up next, under 7.1 is some correspondence. We did get the board report from the Okanagan Sterile Insect Release. Councillor Fowler, did you want to make a comment on that?
Safe this time. We always get the little review after our meeting, but it usually comes out right after our council meeting. So we also have these little pamphlets I thought council members might get a kick out of knowing what some of that money goes to.
For me.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Fowler. And yeah, great. Once again, as you say all the time, what a great program, how invaluable it is, and what it's doing not only for the North Okanagan, but how it's the effect it's having south of the border as well. So all good stuff.
And having said all that and having the notes from our last board meeting and the flyers, the SIR wouldn't be necessary if they don't, with the cross commodity project that the province is funding for the last couple of years. If there's no apple orchards and no apple industry, then SIR wouldn't be required. So there's potential that one of the big reasons that the apple industry had a downturn was because there was people taking their apple orchards out and replacing it with cherries and vineyards. But along with that comes other pests for cherries and vineyards. And so there's potential, if there's no apple orchard, that there still would be a sterile insect program to develop for whatever is taking over. Yeah, so just a little background there.
Thank you, Councillor Fowler. Also, under 7.2, we received an application, I guess. Tolko Industries has put in an application and has reached out to see if we have any concerns about it. I think this warrants a little bit of discussion as they want to, as I understand it, release more particulate, more pollution into the environment with some changes they're making there. The only thing I wanted to note on top of that is that currently we have our own issues locally right in town. And second to that, I've lost the name of the other place that just did the same thing in the industrial park in Spalmsheen, the wood place there that makes all the lumber yard there. I lost the Wood Tech Industries or wood. Sorry? Yeah, so they've also just did the same thing last year, which I don't think we received correspondence on, but they've increased their pollution load also. So just wanted to throw that out there for comments as we move forward, if anybody has anything to say. Councillor Todd.
Well, I'm not in favor of more pollution, but I'm not really sure what these numbers mean. They're just, I can't tell how much more is more. You know what I mean? It doesn't make a lot of sense.
No, and I agree with you. Those don't mean anything to me, but I think the intent is that they are going to increase the amount of pollutants entering our atmosphere. So, you know, if whether we write just saying that we have concerns about this, follow up with letter, I think that is our process, correct, Councilor?
Thank you, Your Worship. Certainly, I appreciate the frustration. You'll notice the date that we received this letter on as well, and they gave us 30 days to respond, which is next week, Monday. So this is the first time that council will have been able to actually have looked at it. Certainly, I think just as a broad statement, further to what His Worship mentioned, you know, if council so chose, you know, to indicate that they were concerned about any further particulate matter being released into the atmosphere, considering the fact that we already have our own localized issues within our community, you could just put a blanket statement of that opposition on the record if you wanted to. Beyond that, I don't have anything I could give you to say that that number should be higher or lower, because I don't know what that means as well. And unfortunately, like I said, the timing of this it creates some challenges in terms of our ability to get any research done to give that information to you. So we needed to get it to you in order to, if we wanted to make a statement just generally in that regards, that we can get it submitted so that it's at least registered. But I fully appreciate the concern about what those numbers actually mean.
Councilor Fowler?
I would suggest if there's concern around the table that we ask them to come and give us a report, a presentation.
I don't know that we have the time, given the 30-day notice and the delivery of the letter on December 23rd. Other comments? Like, is it something we should be concerned and send a letter? I also don't want to see us affecting industry, which is the other, you know, which is a large piece of that pie. We have lots of people that live locally that work there. So how is that going to affect them? Don't really have enough. Councilor Belser.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I'm just, I look at the letter and I am not meaning to be pessimistic or anything, but us throwing a letter being like, we don't like it. And then they're just gonna do it anyway. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think they're asking for a comment and recommendations. It feels like a part of their process, right? So I would be in support of sending a letter being like, no. But like, at the end of the day, I mean, all it would be is just a registered thing against it, I feel, right? They're not really giving us an action or mechanism to actually stop anything.
Councilor Todd first, and then Councilor Fowler.
Thank you, Your Worship. As they say in their letter, it's necessary to replace aging components, improve system performance, and align with updated safety and reliability standards, thereby ensuring the long-term effectiveness and reliability of the mill. And if that's the case, perhaps they'd like to make a representation to us about those facts, and that's what they want to do. And we're not saying no, but we're saying, well, then tell us what you're doing, perhaps. And we're not trying to slow down industry or block it in any regret or in any degree, but if in reality they're trying to lower pollution and make it better, then show us.
Councilor Fowler.
So my only concern is that they've sent us a letter and we're asked to make a decision whether we have a concern or not, and we're not understanding what the implications are. So how can we make a decision?
Yeah.
And it says if we have any comments or recommendations, to let them know by 30 days. Well, we can definitely send them a request to present within 30 days. They don't have to present within 30 days, but they're asking us for our comments within 30 days. So I don't understand where there's a concern, where there's a problem.
Councilor Todd.
As Council Velsar said, they're gonna do what they want to do anyway. But if at least they can make an effort to explain it to us what they want to do and why they want to do it. And we're not trying to say you can't do anything you want. It's not even our jurisdiction. But we can certainly say, well, we're downwind, so perhaps you can let us know.
Councilor Nietzsche, sorry, you got your hand raised?
Yeah, thank you. I'm just wondering if maybe our letter should be just a request to extend the period from 30 days and to give us an extra 30 days so that we can have that presentation from Tolko so we can understand exactly what it is they're applying for. So maybe that should be our response, is a request for an extension for the comment period for an additional 30 days so that we can gather more information and then make a recommendation.
Thank you for that, Councillor Drapula.
Thank you. I agree with Councillor Nietzsche. I think maybe we could add something in there that in the absence of further information, like the city is opposed in general to the idea of increased particulate matter in the air without further information, but we would request that extension of 30 days to hear more, kind of leaving the door open, but also putting it in their court saying, if you're not going to tell us about it, then we're against this. But if you want to come and explain yourself, then we're open to listening.
All right, so then I guess we'll ask staff to draft letters suggesting that we'd like a 30-day extension and we'd like them to present so that we can be more informed before proceeding with our decision. Like you say, not that it'll probably affect the overall outcome of this, but at least we'll be aware. Yep. Can I get a mover on that? Thanks, Councillor Valstar, second by Councillor Todd. Was there anything else you wanted to add? No? Great. All those in favor? And that will be carried. Thank you. And next, committee commission official event reports. Anybody got a verbal update they'd like to provide? Councillor Drapula.
Thank you. Had a chamber meeting last week, just with the new chamber board, and there's some presentations of reports, one that I emailed to council. That report that they're working on was just with a local collaborative on a grant funded project. And so part of that grant funding is that council received those reports, and then there's no immediate action that needs to be taken on any of those. But yeah, other than that, they also got some marketing reports, and they're moving forward with already looking at reflecting and planning for light up for next year. And so lots of learning with the new board that's in there. So it's a big group now compared to what it was last year, which is good.
Thank you, Councillor Drapula. Councillor Fowler, did you want to say something?
Not really. No, I've only had a couple of meetings so far. We do have interest in the meeting that's coming up on Saturday. I'm wondering if we're going to get a chance to have a discussion on that, or any prep work, or is that already taken care at the higher levels?
No, I think we can probably have I don't know that we need an online discussion. We had just a couple of topics that we have, and we've drafted a letter to present to Minister Anderson regarding the housing, for the native housing, and they haven't been given told whether they got last year's grant money yet or not, and a decision will be coming. But the end of the contract they had with the Legion was at the end of this last month, so we're looking at trying to extend things. And anyways, that was one of the issues. One of the issues was the rail trail coming into town. I don't know how much we can say about that. And then just generalized funding models, and see if we can't find a way that they give funding to all of the municipalities in an even fashion, or distributed in a better way. I don't think we had anything else on that. Wasn't going to be a huge discussion. I don't know. Councillor Belser, did you want to add anything? You're attending also, correct? Yeah.
This
Saturday the 17th, yeah.
Rail trail was one. The only other thing I did think about, and I probably put my thoughts better in an email off the top of my head, is the rural I can't pronounce that word, rural retention fund for nurses in Armstrong. They're not, because of our proximity to Vernon, they're not eligible for that program, although they work in Spalmachine, Enderby, and the surrounding area. And if there's any way that we can stick up for our nurses in the area, that would be something huge.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure, but I believe even Enderby was taken out of the equation about 6 years ago from the physician perspective. That they were no longer designated, but I don't know that firsthand. That's just what I've been told. But yeah, anybody had anything else that they wanted raised? I guess now would be the time to ask with Minister Anderson. It's all going to be essentially a sidebar anyways, but yes, Councilor Brooks.
Just to follow up on what I said there, I actually have notes for it. I was not prepared to talk about it right in this exact moment. I'll send an email out to everybody tomorrow or the next day. And then that way, at least staff can have a quick peek at it before we present something or even mention it.
Thanks, Councillor Valstar. And that's it, I think, unless anybody else has anything they'd like to update. Council Nietzsche's good. If nobody has anything else, then I'd like to move to an in-camera session that council proceed in camera pursuant to section 90, subsection 1A of the community charter. Personal information about identifiable individual who holds or is being considered for a position as an officer, employee, or agent of the municipality or another position appointed by the municipality. Do we have a mover to go in camera? Councillor Todd, second. Councillor Valstar, thank you. All those in favor? And we will just take 5 minutes, Councillor Nietzsche, and get you reestablished. Thank you.